There we go.
Yeah, look at all the participants coming in. Wow.
You guys are hot commodities. Everyone wants to come see you.
I think Vanessa, you have some fame on your side because we got like your emails from the Career Center. And so you are a known entity across all of our grad students at UCR.
I'm glad. I really, because we only started the model of having a dedicated person serving graduate students. So we really hope that, I can do as many outreach as possible and help as many students as possible. So thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you for being here. Do we want to start, Carmen? Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming today. I'm Amari McKay. I'm currently first year MPP student. I'm also serve as the co-chair of our mini SPP GSA along with Carmen. So I just want to thank everyone for coming out today. So just like a mini breakdown of our webinar today, we're gonna have Vanessa, who is a career specialist, specifically for our graduate students, come and give us some tips. And then we're gonna do a Q&A with her. And then we're gonna have Michael, who's a policy analyst, give us some LinkedIn formatting and etiquette tips. And then we're gonna have a Q&A session with him as well. And then we're gonna have a raffle at the end. So make sure everyone is staying on and is engaged. So I will let Vanessa take it away.
Hi, everyone. It's really nice meeting you all virtually. I recognize a few names that I've seen. So hi again. I will be going through, I really have to breeze through this topic because usually we spend a little bit more time doing this, talking about resume, but I think I want to focus more on some quick tips. And I will be available for a few minutes for Q&A after, and then I have to hop out. I have another workshop that I have to be hosting. So, but I want to make sure that you all have my, I think you all have my email. So please feel free to send me an email or schedule an appointment on Handshake if you want to do more deeper dive on your resume. So I'm going to share my screen. If I talk too fast, let me know. And also, just so you know, I'm at home. So if you hear dogs barking, I apologize. I closed my doors, so nobody can come in, but we'll see. One of them know how to open doors. So we're gonna focus on the quick tips of writing resume. So just a quick review of what resume is. You all should have it. If you don't, create one. It basically is like a snapshot of your professional experience. It gives the qualifications, credential, and most of the time it really should be highlighting and tailoring to the position. So I always tell students, your resume is not writing for yourself. You're writing your resume for your audience. So you have to really think about tailoring, and customizing. So you should not be sending a generic resume to any position you're applying for, internship or full-time job, because they have requirements they are asking for, and also certain things, they are checklists, right? So they are basically comparing your resume with what they have for this position. So you really need to be speaking to what they seek. And then I heard from students say, it takes so much time to do that. But it's not about quantity, it's about quality of the applications that you put in. Students applying for internship, 300 applications, got 0 response because they use only one resume. So I said, that probably is not the best use of your time. Really should be spending, I would say, minimum a few hours on an application. if you want to have a good application. And resume is the first step, because these people don't know anything about you. So that really is the best way to introduce others of your skills. So you have to advocate for it. So I know we have a LinkedIn session after mine. Just remember, your resume is also a branding and marketing tool. Okay. So, okay. One quick thing about that before we dive into the format is there are a lot of organizations starting to use something called the applicant tracking system. That is more like an overarching name for it, but people may call it differently based on what kind of software they purchase. But essentially it's a software which with algorithm programmed to have a job description and your resume and compare your similarities with that. So basically, some of them have certain scores. If you don't meet that scores, you get kicked out of the system automatically. So a lot of times you don't even get a person to look at it. Okay. It's definitely there for the for-profit world. For nonprofit, is getting traction as well. It's just because it's much easier for them to go through these applications. They can do large quantity all at once. It's not a fair system, just because, you know, a lot of times you have computer doing that. So so I would say, unfortunately, you have to kind of understand the system a little bit when you apply. Okay. All right. So most commonly used resume is nothing fancy. And that's also what we call the applicant tracking system friendly resume. It's what we call the chronological one. And it usually starts with most recent to the oldest. So everything since starting your first year college, you have to start adding it there. Do not include anything high school at this point. Okay, so I'll show you format. So it sort of look like this. This is 2-page because the person's a PhD. I would say mostly on master student, you may want to keep it into 1 page, unless you have worked several years before and a lot of your qualifications and skills not fit into 1 page. You can have 2 pages, but most employers require 1-page resume. So the format looks like this. Professional summary, again, you know, it takes too much space. I don't really think it's necessary. Because this is a 2-page resume, so they have it. But you know, Michael's going to talk about LinkedIn, and your professional summary should be on your LinkedIn. So I would say, don't worry about it, and start always with education. Highlight your degree and major, not necessarily the school. Tell people when you are graduation, say they know when they can expect to have you start. Okay. For those of you who have maybe technical skill or other skills, you should have a skills section. This one is very technical, but I would say this will be the part where you will write what we call, like computer skills, language skill. If many of you have social media skill, put it there. But things relating to things like customer service, communication should not be listed as a skill because it gives me no context. But because you say communication skill, I don't really have a reference point. That should be incorporated into your experiences. Okay. And I will talk a little bit more in detail how to talk about your experiences, but this should be what your resume look like. It's very boring. I always tell students, don't use templates. Templates are very hard to edit because you need to constantly add things to it, your projects, your other experiences. Templates, sometimes they are in table format and it just gets very funky. Okay. So that's kind of like the journal format. I mean, as you can see, it's very clean, very clear, easy for your readers because like I mentioned, this is not written for you, it's for your readers. So you have to make sure your audience get that information rather quickly. We usually don't read resume the first time. I scan them. It's just I don't have a lot of time. I have tons of resume to go through, right? So I've been on search committees. I basically quickly scan it. If they ask me to read, I basically just try my best to quickly scan, probably spend 10 seconds most on a resume in the first glance. And sometimes that's all you have. Okay. So make sure it's easy for them to take a look. And we'll talk about some tricks of how to make it easy, because the experience section is probably going to be the most important. So let's talk about experiences. So what counts as experiences? Paid or unpaid, like Amari is a co-lead, right, for your organization. That is something you can put on your resume, talk about your tasks, duties, and achievement. These are experiences that count. And you call leadership experience or relevant experience, however you want to call that. Any research you've done, volunteering, internship, major class assignments and projects can be put on here. Let's say if you, let's say I volunteer for a animal rescue, but all I do is like one thing, I may not put it on there. Experience has to be something you're a little bit more involved, that you can say, I've done a couple of things for them or with them for X amount of time. And then our students ask me, well, I have only done this for like a month. That's fine. If it's something that you can talk about, gain something out of it. Okay. How you name them, I have seen this so many times that my students just call work experience, internship experience, or projects. That's fine, but it sounds so generic. Remember I mentioned like the theme, right? Talking to your audience. You need to brand it in the terms of the, what you may call like certain names. You're gonna prime them to see what they are. So you can call them research experience, leadership. I have students put something like, for example, I have clinical experience, research, teaching. Some people put marketing. You can see some of the names here. So you give it a theme. Okay, if you say, well, I have a few different experiences that will make up for this position I want to apply for, then call that either related experience or relevant experience. Just make it easy for your reader, so then they know what they're looking at. Okay. So how to describe experience? I'm gonna apologize. I did not make this one particular slide. I'm not a huge fan of the color because it's hard to read. But the idea is there's this format that people consider using. But I would say don't need to stick to it. Most of the time, really think about giving people context. So this is a way to do that. Lead and organize a team of 8 engineering faculty and postdoctoral researchers overseeing 5 research laboratories. Right? So task, action, and results. But like I said, you don't have to always stick with it. Talk about what you have done. So for example, I'll talk about my job. I would say supervise 2 graduate student assistants with who are responsible for programming and outreach to UCR graduate student population. Right, so that's clear. I don't just say supervise 2 graduate research assistants or supervise 2 graduate students. That is too broad. I need to introduce my role to people who may not know anything about it. Right? So your job is use a verb, an active verb to be precise, of how you have been doing your role. Talk about the process, talk about the results. If they are numbers, demonstrate that. Let's just say if you had been managing 3 research projects concurrently, say that. Manage 3 research projects concurrently and collaborated with blah, blah, blah. Right? Provided recommendations based on summaries of research to blah, blah, blah. So these are the things that you need to be talking, because this is the most important part. Remember earlier I mentioned talk about, like communication skills, some of these what we call the transferable skills, and don't put it in skill section. This is the area to talk about that. Talk about your collaboration, talk about communication, customer service. So for example, customer service is super broad. Like right now I'm doing customer service, right? I hope I do a good job. That I would say provided excellent customer service to XYZ population. So it is really up to you how to demonstrate these skill sets. And many of them are transferable skills, meaning that you can take it from one context and put it in another. But you need to demonstrate how you do that. So you have to explain yourself to them, basically. Okay. So here are some of the examples, Vice President of Graduate Student Association. So what did that person do, or what did the person do, and managed editing and production of, it's grammatic error, GSA's website and redesigned user interface. Okay, so that's some of that. Oversaw a budget of 12,000 and distributed funds for catering, venue, parking, and guest speaking fee. Because a lot of times students just say oversaw budget. What do you use that for? Explain it to me, right? So these are the things that you have to really be very, very much considering when you write your resume, because this is the most important part, and this is the part that you can customize. If you need help going over it, please make an appointment with me. I'd be more than happy to walk over this with you. And I work over summer too. I'm not faculty, so I'm not on a faculty contract. I'm on a 2-month contract. So there are going to be appointments available in the summer. I notice the time. I want to just do this real quick. So let's talk about the skills that I mentioned earlier, right? The transferable skills. How do you transfer them? You need to really think about what I have been doing so far. What can I talk about? There are a lot of things that you can talk about that you don't think about. Many of you in policy, so you do a lot of research, analysis, and then make recommendations, right? So talk about those things. Helping people to implement policies by making recommendations, collaborative on this, consultant, maybe you are serving sort of as a consultant for local government on a project. So that would be things that you can talk about. So many things to do, but it's sometimes hard. Sorry about the tiny fonts. So very general, just very quick, some tips. Formatting is everything, because if I'm looking at a very messy resume, I immediately just feel like, oh, it's overwhelming, especially if I'm reading like 100 of them. Okay, so make sure that is 10 to 12 font size for your text, not the headings, not your name, just text only. Okay, you can do like a 1/2 inch to 1 inch margin. I will really recommend using narrow margin on Word document. That usually works the best, because then you can squeeze in everything. People usually don't print them anymore, so save it as a PDF unless you're told otherwise. Okay. If you're gonna print them, white or off-white is fine. Don't need to use borders. Don't need to use graphic and shading. Try to avoid actually using anything but bolding occasionally. Italicizing is really hard to read. I try to tell people don't use it, especially applicant tracking system doesn't like it at all. So just a regular font and bolding sporadically should be fine. Don't spend money buying templates, not worth it, or don't use template. Bullet points are the most effective way, just because if you do like an active verb on the first column, that's what we read for first. I just scan it. I see some of these verbs, I have an idea what you've done. Okay, make sure you check for spelling and grammatical error and formatting errors. For example, I'm a stickler with formats, because my PhD advisor used to be a editor, so she has drilled that into me about editing. So I make sure I don't see any mistakes, because that tells me you're not detail oriented to begin with. Okay, again, that document is all they know of you. So what are you presenting? What kind of branding are you presenting? Avoid using first person pronoun, just because you are describing objectively what you've done. So one thing you could do is you can say, I perform blah, blah, blah. I manage this. Take out that I as your bullet point. That's really the quick and easy way to talk about it. I will say this, actually, I will send you all the more complete version of this to the leaders, and they can share with you. But that's really all I have with resume. Some quick tips. Sorry, I just, like I said, breezed through it. Any questions for me?
And if anyone has any questions, feel free to use the Q&A section on Zoom. No questions. just, yeah, Vanessa.
It's okay. I'm going to put the appointment link in chat. If you want to see me, the appointment category would be graduate student career counseling category. If you choose the CHAS category, you're not gonna see me. You're going to see one of our CHAS counselors, which is fine too. But they usually see undergrads, so their schedule's super booked. I mean, mine is not any better, but yeah, I'm a little bit better, especially now. Fall, not so much better. But try to, talk about this over summer because you have a little bit more time. Okay. Any other questions?
We have one. We'll do this one real quick and then we'll let you go. So the question says, let me answer it live. How many experiences should I list? And is the resume different for every job application?
Depending on the type of job you're applying for, let's say if you have one type of job that you apply for, your resume will more or less look the same, except tweaking some of the words that they may describe in the job description. Some, for example, some jobs require more teamwork. Some jobs may require more project management experience. So you may have to tweak it a tiny bit, but I would say they should really look similar if you're applying for the same type of job. But I think the short answer is yes, they should look very different. What kind of experience you put, it doesn't matter how many, whether they are relevant. Are they relevant to what the position requirements are listed at? So you have to make that comparison for yourself. Again, really think about what they want to see. Am I presenting what they want to see? That's all. It's really not really about how many experiences. For example, I've been on this job, this is my 8th year, right? So it takes probably like more than half of the page of the space. It's all about this job. So yeah, that would be pretty much my recommendation.
Okay, there is one last question, and this one is probably a bit quick, but could you, if they make an appointment with you, would you also assist in helping create a CV?
Sure.
Okay.
CV's difference with resume, CV should be tailored to the job. I'm sorry, resume should be tailored to the job. CV is more with academic, postdoc, heavy research-oriented position or fellowship. That has everything, which I like to call master resume anyway. That has no page limit. A lot of times that's not even format. Most position you're applying for, government jobs and all that, sometimes people mix it up. They say CV or resume, but I would say resume should be your focus if you're not applying for academic related positions. But yeah, I'd be happy to do that if that's what you're applying for, fellowship or any other positions.
Awesome. That's very, very informative. So thank you. And thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me. Please reach out if you have any questions. Sorry, I gotta run. I see people in my Zoom room, so I gotta go. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna pass it on to Michael now.
Hello. All right, I created a presentation. Oh wait, let me put on my AirPod. A little more control. All right, hello folks. It's weird being on Zoom, knowing there's more people and there's not actually like people on the screen. So I'm just gonna go ahead and create this. Can you all see this? Yes? Okay. Is it good, Amari?
Yes.
Yeah, we can
All
see
right.
it.
All right. So I don't know if you guys know this. I kind of like going the meme route. So I'm going to be covering LinkedIn today using a lot of meme stuff. So LinkedIn and you. I've noticed that a lot of people don't really know how to do LinkedIn because, for one, maybe they've been avoiding LinkedIn, maybe they're not comfortable on LinkedIn. But it's a really powerful tool that you can use to get a job, or kind of network and build those skills necessary for a job in public policy. So hold on, let's see. Who am I? Well, I'm Michael. I'm from Fresno. So this is my second year at UCR. No, my second year in the MPP program, 5th year at UCR. I currently work in consulting at Estelano Advisors as a policy analyst, but I have a lot of experience in government and nonprofits throughout California. And I'm interested in urban economic development and the urban ecosystem. So specifically looking at cities and how they grow and develop through time, especially here in the Inland Empire and the Central Valley, where I'm from, because I'm from Fresno. All right. So that's who I am. That's kind of the authority that I have to talk to you. So is this a good LinkedIn profile? This Adam S. in the United Kingdom, he's he's self-employed. He's got 500 plus connections, but he's got this gray circle here, the generic LinkedIn background. Is this a good LinkedIn profile? No, it is not. And unfortunately, a lot of people have something similar to that, where it'll be, their first name and their last initial. I worked at this vague place, it's not a great, it's not a great profile. How is anybody supposed to know who that is? Especially like, anybody can be Adam S. So let's fix that. So LinkedIn basics. All right. Well, so here's a screenshot from my profile. So I got a profile picture. It's a little old, but it's, it's a presentable picture. Profile background picture is me at Fresno City Hall delivering some petitions, and I have a location here. And so when you're looking at your LinkedIn profile, look at and you got to put up something that represents you. So you need a profile picture, one that looks like you, one that if you go to an interview, that's who they would see. I've seen some LinkedIn profile pictures where it's like of them at the beach holding a Corona, and it's like, no, don't do that. Or it'll be, a very casual thing, or it'll be that like that screenshot there, like, or that selfie. That's not good. Really invest in getting a good profile picture, because it's, it's one of those things where, if you put in care into how you look here, it really translates to, on the professional scene, like they have attention to detail. They care about how they present themselves. Your background picture, don't use the generic LinkedIn one. Have something that represents who you are or what you're about. I've mentioned the word Fresno like 6 times already. So I have a background picture of me at Fresno City Hall, when I was working on a parks campaign there. But, it really represents, I think, my values and community and all that. So, really find something that demonstrates your drive for something. And finally, location. When somebody puts in a location on LinkedIn, it'll pop up like names. So if you're looking for a job around where you live, say Los Angeles, put Los Angeles as your city, or in this case, Riverside or Fresno or wherever, because that's how people are going to notice you in your community who are looking for people with a policy background. So all about you. So, this is what LinkedIn's all about. LinkedIn is professional bragging. So really go for it. Like, what do you do? What makes you passionate about the things that you are passionate about? So in your introduction on LinkedIn, really go after, hi, I'm so and so, and I'm really interested in this because of this. I'm a second or first year Master Public Policy student at UCR, where I study, housing and urban development, or where I study health disparities. And I'm hoping to, find a professional, gig after this program that would allow me to continue my passion in my studies and contribute to the professional environment. Really demonstrate that, show what you're all about. Show some personality. Look, LinkedIn, as much as it's a professional setting, you also have to remember that when somebody hires you for a job, it's because it's based on more than just qualifications. If you're getting interviewed, you're qualified. That's the number one thing that you could remember is if you're being interviewed for a job, that means you could do the job potentially. The interview is there more like to get details, but also to find that do you vibe with the organization? And so, show some of that personality on LinkedIn within a professional, context. So for me, like I put down kind of my philosophy on, it's where I tell people that it's very unlikely that any one person, any one of us is going to change the world, but we all have the ability to change someone's world immeasurably for the better. And that's how you change the world, one person at a time. Now, granted, that sounds kind of cheesy, but at the end of the day, that shows personality. So like, I would encourage you to filter that in, find something about yourself that you want to share with people. Because you're all interesting in some way, shape, or form. Show it on LinkedIn. Yeah, don't be this guy. So LinkedIn is notorious for having people post a bunch of crap that's just clearly made up. And it's because a lot of people feel the need to post on LinkedIn about all this professional insight that they get from their everyday lives. Like this guy, my 10-year-old daughter wanted to be a lawyer, and that's how yada yada. That's how she learned about opportunity cost. Yeah, you come off kind of douchey if you do that. Like post updates about your work. If you're working on a project like your capstone project, post updates about that. Today, like I'm working on a capstone project with Chelsea Alfaro, and like I could post, today we went out to Paris to look at transit stations around the city and how it relates back to upzoning and urban development. That's something interesting that maybe people care about. Nobody cares about this guy's daughter discovering opportunity costs on a story he clearly made up. So don't be this guy. Just yeah. Highly do not be this guy. Posting your experience. So Vanessa spoke about highlighting your different experiences on your resume. You got to do that on LinkedIn too. So highlight your accomplishments. What did you do? Were you employee of the month, or did you do something at your job that was noteworthy? Highlight that. That's what people want to see. Provide an overview of your position. So, for example, if you worked as like a waiter or a cashier, everybody knows what that is. But maybe you can highlight some of the nuances of your position. If you work in a more specific job, or like a job that maybe people wouldn't know everything about automatically, really discuss that position. What does that position do? I can say that I'm a policy analyst, but does anybody know what a policy analyst does? Because I don't even know what a policy analyst does. I just know what my assignments are at my job. And then also provide specific examples. So when you're looking at what to put down, really share, what did you bring to the table? What was something specific you worked on? Did you work on, say, in a policy world, Did you work on a research project for, addressing health disparities in the Inland Empire? Provide those concrete examples. Nobody wants to read, did research on some policy areas. That could mean anything, but provided in-depth research and analysis of data analysis on school attendance records in Riverside Unified. Now that's something interesting that a recruiter could use to talk to you about. Don't share sensitive or private information, especially in the policy world. We have access to privileged information, so don't go in and share information, maybe client information without approval. So for example, like I wouldn't go on LinkedIn and share information about my clients at Estelano Advisors, or I wouldn't share the data or things that maybe are internal. That it would be a big mistake that could put you in breach of maybe a non-disclosure agreement and things like that. So make sure you're very careful about what you post, and make sure you have approval to post anything, like a report or something. Don't make stuff up. So, a friend of mine is applying for jobs right now, and he put down that his work created $10 million in new business for his organization. I can tell you he did not do that. And so when somebody is asking you about that on LinkedIn, you don't want to be caught with your pants down. So don't lie, just really highlight what you did do. If you answered phones all day and you wrote reports, you were basically at the front desk, that's not nothing. You can talk about that. Talk about your interactions with people. That's something that is not only not a lie, but also like that was your actual experience, so you can go in depth with that. And this is the most important thing here. Don't sell yourself short. Do not sell yourself short. You all have experiences. For those of you in mini GSA, put this on your resume. For really highlight the work you've done. The number, we're all, most of us are fairly young or new in our careers here, or some of us are just getting started in public policy. Don't short sell, or don't shortchange yourself here because you don't feel like you actually have that much policy experience. You do, so make sure you put that down. Making connections. So LinkedIn is all about networking. That's how you make friends on LinkedIn, by talking to people about professional stuff. So who do you want to connect with? Colleagues. Who do you work with? Classmates. You want to connect with your classmates? You should do that. Friends and family, asterisk. If your friends and family are crazy, don't put them on LinkedIn. If you have people that want to, or that would post something that you don't want to be associated with on LinkedIn, don't connect with them. Instructors. So some instructors have LinkedIn. I connected with Karthik Ramakrishnan a couple years ago, and he posts all sorts of stuff on LinkedIn. You should connect with him too. He's kind of a LinkedIn addict. Professional contacts. So when you're out and about in your job and you exchange business cards, connect with them. Keep in touch. That's how business is done. And people you want to learn from. So is there somebody that has experience in an area that you want to learn more about? Connect with them and slide into those DMs. So I gotta say, Amari is a little like square on my screen, and I'm watching her react. And it's kind of funny. But you should, when you're connecting with people, include a note to them. You can write a brief 300-character note to your connections and say, "Hi, I'm Michael. I'm really interested in learning more about your work as a policy analyst at this place. Could we connect and maybe chat?" that's an awesome way to connect with people. Okay, next slide. Finding connections. So I'm pretty sure all of you have MPP or like some sort of school public policy business cards. Take them out with you. Trade business cards like they're Pokemon cards. Like really got to catch them all, because these business cards are how you're going to connect with people. As archaic as it is, the paper cards are still the winner right now. So really trade those cards with people. Find those connections. Are you interested in a job? Find people that have that job and connect with them. So if you're interested in, say, working at the city of Riverside, look up the city of Riverside, look up maybe somebody with the position you want and connect with them, ask them questions. And alumni networks are great too. So, a UCR alums are really helpful in assisting fellow Highlanders. So, for those of you who also went to undergrad or who went to undergrad at a different institution, utilize that alumni network too. As at UCR, as you're networking with alumni, they know the training and the education you got at UCR. And so that they know how you can contribute to their organization, to their firm, or to their company. So really look for those Highlanders, and you can easily find them on LinkedIn. Talking to others on LinkedIn. So on the left here is a message that I sent to the CEO of the James Irvine Foundation. And I just wanted to chat with him because he does some cool stuff. I was like, I want to talk about cool stuff. So I sent him that message. So, hi, Mr. Howard, I hope you are well. I've been a follower of the James Irvine Foundation since I was an intern at yada yada, and I really admire the work you do. I'm currently a grad student. Do you have 20 minutes to chat within the coming weeks? I appreciate your time. Be specific about your intent. There's like a lot of in the professional world, there's a lot of kind of jokes going around where all these like college students want to chat with me because they're looking for a job. If you're looking for a job, still that's great, but like a lot of us are interested in different policy areas. Well, while we learn all about policy in the classroom, you can really gain a really much deeper understanding about policy by talking to practitioners in the field. If you're interested in health policy, for instance, talking to a health policy person, you can kind of understand, here's what I learned in the classroom and here's how policy is implemented. And that is something that could really help you not only develop your network, but also develop a better understanding of policy. Ask for a specific amount of time. Ask for a short amount of time. So I said 20 minutes. Here's the secret. You ask for 15 or 20 minutes, it's never just 15 or 20 minutes. You're most likely get a minimum of 30, because people like to talk about themselves. So let them, have a 20-minute chat, 20 to 30-minute chat with somebody, and have questions for them and really engage them, because they want to talk about their work. Especially in public policy, when they're dealing with people all day, they definitely want to talk about their work. Briefly highlight who you are. So, why should Mr. Howard care that I reached out to him? Well, I'm a grad student. I'm still learning. I was an intern at Central Valley Community Foundation. I'm still learning. I'm still trying to learn the ropes for when as I'm starting out in the career. So make that known. And then obviously be courteous and prepare questions. That's standard. Pro gamer move, send a thank you note. This is some God level moves here. After you talk to somebody, after you take advantage of this, handwrite and mail them a note if you can. That people remember handwritten notes. People keep those. Nobody keeps an email of a thank you email, but everybody keeps that handwritten note. So do that. That'll really serve you well. Final tips and tricks. Look, LinkedIn's kind of scary, don't, it's like your career. It's not like Instagram where you post something and it's like, look at me, hashtag, whatever. This is your career. So, really it can be scary, but it's also a great opportunity for you. Don't compare yourself to others. You're going to be around people that maybe have more experience than you. That's going to be the case. But look at that rather than comparing yourself, look at that as a connection to learn more about your field, about their job, about your career, about your interests. LinkedIn offers exams to show mastery of certain skills. So, for example, everybody and their mother wants somebody with Excel experience. Well, if you have good Excel skills, take that exam and show recruiters that you know how to use Excel or Python or R or any one of these languages. Also in your network, we're all trying to like make boss moves here and like, grind. Congratulate people. When somebody posts that they got a new job or their dream job or they're moving on or something like that, type a comment, congratulations, I know you worked really hard on this and this is really exciting. I'm happy for you. That shows other people in their network that, hey, this person here is supporting others. They're a team player. When somebody else moves up, that's a great opportunity for you to show that you are somebody that really gets happy and really supports your fellow, colleagues. And then, make LinkedIn a part of your daily social media rotation. Like we all spend way too much time looking at Instagram reels and looking at Facebook. I don't even think anybody goes on Facebook anymore or Twitter, all that. Take 10 minutes a day and look at LinkedIn because you'll find some really cool articles, some posts, or job opportunities. You can set LinkedIn to email you job opportunities daily. So, really take advantage of that. If in case you want to connect, there's my LinkedIn. There aren't too many Michael Seelys out in the world, so yeah, I'm pretty easy to find. And with that, that's the end of my presentation. Thank you for memeing with me.
Thanks,
Michael.
If anyone has any questions, please use the Q&A function and we'll guide the questions now. While we wait for some questions, I had a question. Some people get really creative with the job title under their name, like right on the profile. I saw you have policy analyst at your company. Some people have other creative names as well. So what do you recommend for that? Or what has caught your attention, I guess? Should we just put our work title or should we put something more creative, or what's the best approach for that?
I think it depends if you're looking for a job versus if you have a job. If you have a job, I would recommend just putting down your job title because that's how other people are going to find you. But if you don't have a job, then you can say something like, creative policy practitioner looking for work or something like that. Or, UCR alumnus seeking employment in the Inland Empire, something like that. Really show kind of what your status is. I would chill out on buzzwords like experienced innovator, innovating experience. I just made that. That's not even a good example, but something like that. Don't exaggerate kind of what you are. It's but use that. That's kind of like your status update on LinkedIn.
That's a great
Any
response.
other questions?
Anything from the audience? Amar, do you have any questions?
Oh, it looks like there's a.
Okay, we'll answer the one in the queue. Answer it live. So is it appropriate to highlight events related to my job, career, training that are not direct job tasks, such as conferences or trainings on LinkedIn?
Yes, that's totally appropriate. You know, if you go to a conference, you know, say like in public policy, even if if it's not part of your job, but you go to a public policy conference, really, you know, take a picture and post it on LinkedIn. Those are really exciting events, but it also shows that you really are, you know, you're continuing your education in your profession. And that's something that's, I think, a really valuable thing, especially in the professional world where everybody's just kind of, you know, a lot of people fall into like, I got my degree, I'm educated, I'm done. No, you got like the bare minimum. So, you know, that continuing education, that shows that you're really chilling there. Any other questions?
I actually have a question for you, Michael. So do you like recommend like putting like everything that would be on our resume, like on our LinkedIn like profile, like under like the description and like past jobs and everything like that, or highlight a few important things?
Your LinkedIn should be longer than your resume.
Okay.
Your resume should be, as Vanessa went over, your resume should be tailored to a job. And right now, for most of us, a one-pager. But if you have a lot of experience, maybe not necessarily super relevant to the job you're applying to, but like, you know, it's still experience, put that on LinkedIn. You know, or LinkedIn can also give you like space to put your awards, significant projects, classes you've taken, certifications, licenses. Like you can put all that in LinkedIn, and it's a nice place to put, because at that point, if you need to rebuild your resume, you have like everything there that you can just copy and paste into the profile, into your page. But yeah, your LinkedIn should be longer than your resume.
Got it. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Michael. We don't see any more questions, so we'll go ahead and do the raffle really quickly. Share my screen here. Okay, can you see my screen? Yeah. Y'all can see it? Yeah. No?
I'm just seeing like it's dark for me, but I don't know if that's everyone.
No, still no?
No.
Let me try again. Okay, how about now? What? Let me share my full screen. Maybe I need to do that. How about now?
Yes.
Whew. Here, and then we're doing 2 raffles or just 1? Is it
What?
1? Okay, 1 click. Here we go. Awesome. Okay, we'll go ahead and send it to Alfredo, and I'll stop the share. That's pretty much it. Do you want to wrap it up, Amari?
So thank you again, Michael. Everything you said was very informative. I know I need to get my LinkedIn up to date. So just thank you so much for taking the time and speaking to us all. Also, thank you for everyone for coming out and, you know, supporting your mini GSA. And I hope y'all all have a great weekend. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Michael.